So go ahead and wet your palette. What I mean by that is just drop water in on the colors. And you may as well just wet the whole thing. We don't know what you're gonna grab. You guys could see a lot of different colors in the woods. Okay. So continue to make your mixes in your palette. I can do this on camera though, so you guys can see. It just takes a while to get the hard colors to start responding and let you pick at all that colors. So we're gonna do blue and black, right? Correct? Yep. And then what's the next one? You are going to use your yellow in your palette. Kind of in the middle, all the way through. The very end are these gouache colors. And that's just, if you don't have that, that's fine. You'll be able to do it with watercolor. It's just, it's going to be more opaque. The fall colors will be more opaque on top with gouache. But if you don't have that, you can just try it with watercolor and see how it goes. Okay, one more real quick. Okay, if you noticed, I put a big brush in between every two seats. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna wet. Well, you guys might need to clean your water, start with clean water. Are you okay? Or I think you might want to make sure you have clean water. The very last color that I need to make is my brown. That'll be the foreground trees. Okay. Okay, so your last color, the raw umber and the light green and the black is the tree trunks in the foreground, okay? So it is gonna be these ones. So you want a little bit more brown in your color because you want back here, these ones are gonna be gray because they're crowded in mist and whatever, and they're more black. But these ones you definitely want. And as we go along, you're gonna be able to stroke in brown, you know, whatever your puddle is, that'll be your base, and then you can add color on top of that. So don't stress too much right now about it. Okay, the other thing, make sure you've sealed your masking tape down really good because we don't want any leaks underneath. Okay. You guys ready? Who's ready? No. Raise your hand if you're ready. Okay, the class, not quite, there's two. How about online? Okay, we got about half of you ready.
Have we gotten the,
what?
Did we get the white paper wet yet?
We have not wet.
Okay, thank you.
We're getting ready to wet. Now, you guys are sharing the big brush in between. There's a couple spaces if you want to grab the big brush from other places. Okay, so when we wet it, pass it to your neighbor, okay? You're gonna get it so it's glossy wet. Ready? Here we go. You can, but that's probably more for when it dries out. Okay, it should have a sheen on it. You should see a light reflection. If it's starting to fade already, go back over it. If it's starting to dry, it takes a minute. It's so soaking wet that you can't add any more water. So every which way. Okay, the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to drop blue-green, your little mixture right there in the middle. You're going to take your biggest brush, the 12, and you're going to do just a circle. Blue-green, just blue-green. And you'll think, wait, that's not what she's got on her paper. And truly it is. Just blue-green. And you can do it right out of your palette if you didn't make a puddle. It's fine. Okay, we're gonna let that go. You wanna go all the way to the top though with it. And we can take it down to the bottom, why not? While it's still soaking wet, we're gonna rinse our brush out. We're gonna pick up just plain yellow. No, always from the watercolor. This is for the very end. Sorry, yeah, so out of your watercolor palette, and you're just gonna do the sides. And it's gonna mix with the blue, it's totally fine, because what does it make? Yeah. So we are just covering that with yellow on the sides. Now, if yours has gotten too dry and it's not traveling, even with your brush, you can dip in your water, or you can spray with your spray. The problem with spray is you're gonna get dispersed bubbles. And so it might wet places you don't want it to. Okay, so this is what's hidden underneath this picture, is this color. Okay, it's going to dry dramatically lighter, so don't fret. Okay. Now we're going to take a smaller, actually we can use this 12 still, and we're just going to give this a little bit, a minute to dry. You can blow on it if you want, but that kind of would spread things. So under here actually is turquoise, and it dried just really, really light. Okay. All right, while this is still wet, I'm going to take my 12, and I'm just going to start making lines. I'm going to be using just a watered down black. So that would be gray. And you're just going to go from about, leave about 2 to 3 inches at the bottom, and just travel up like you have a tree trunk. Okay. Black. It's a watered down black though. And I'm just going to keep adding them all along here. And they can be various different widths. They can be different angles. They can be crooked. Oh, one thing to remember is most trees are bigger at the bottom than they are at the top. So remember, you're going to go dark at the bottom, or narrow at the, no, wide at the bottom, and go up. When it crosses one another, you're going to decide which one's going to be more dominant. Is it going to be the last one you painted, or are you going to go back and make the other one more dominant? So let's keep going. Maybe we need some thin ones in there. So I'm just going to use the point of my 12, and I'm just going to go up and do a little one, some little trees. That makes sense? You're not applying as much pressure. Now, if yours is drying, the yellow, my yellow is really drying. Okay, so while that's still wet, you're going to take your long stippler, your script brush that has the really long lines. And if it's easier, guys, you can turn your paper upside down. What you're going to do, we need a few branches. So I'm just going to go like this and come in and do. We're making branches for the trees. And branches are not straight, are they? They're wiggly. That's still with the black. We'll be doing lots of layers of trees. And I want to point out, you don't have to put a trunk right on the, or limb right on the edge of a tree. It can be coming from the middle of the trunk. You see it face on, and it can be starting right in the center. Let me see if I can do it with this one. And you're gonna just bring it out. And that's how you see a lot of them. They're not always on the edge of the trunk. Okay, so you may think this is overkill with branches, and a lot of it will get covered up, but it just adds dimension. It gives us a place to put our green and our red and our yellow later on. Just willy-nilly. Okay. Okay, the next color we're gonna do is the blue, green, and black. And if you've got a flat brush, you're more than welcome to use that for the basing the tree trunks. We can try that and see if it works. I didn't do it on the original. So I am doing the one with the Prussian blue and black right now. So again, I'm going in, and I'm just adding a trunk. Okay, see that? A new trunk. Yeah, a new tree. I'm going a little deeper, farther down into that 3-inch border. You can see that. Oh, going. So if it starts to bleed and fan out, just make it an obvious tree trunk thing. Okay. Now, staying with that blue-green, you are going to add some branches on that as well. So you can take out your little stippler brush again, the script brush. I'm going to turn mine back around. And I'm sticking with the blue, Prussian blue-black combination. Let me turn it this way so you guys can see. And we want to make it wiggly. Remember, it's like you've had a big cup of coffee and you're a little bit shaky, and you'll get the right kind of texture to the branches that we're looking for. Oh, this is cool. Look how that branch is going, it's bleeding, right? Because it's wet. That's kind of cool. Yes. The blue-green. Yes, the first one I did black. Oh, it dries so much lighter. And it depending on, so right here, that's about where we're at right now, is with these blue-green, the blue-black.
The Prussian blue-black.
Prussian blue-black. We have 3 layers of trees to go, maybe 4 total. And every mixture, everybody makes up their own kind of paint mix. And so I may have mixed this a little more blue than the last time. It does not matter. One thing I would like you to do on a couple of these blue ones is, you know how a tree will have sprouts down at the bottom like suckers? So go ahead and flick some of those. Not on every tree, but yes, with the script brush. Rigger, script, tracer, long. What's happening is as we go darker, your trees are going to be blending more and more into the background. Okay. So I'll pause there. You guys want to catch up? Okay, no problem. Let me turn it right side around again so you guys can see. It is changing. It is darker this time. You're right. My colors are different, a little bit different this time.
Yeah, that was the confusing part.
Well, yeah, but I painted it a month ago, so how am I supposed to remember? No, so this actually ended up being a little more stormy. Everybody's is going to be so different, and it'll be fun to see. But wait till we get all our green on there. We've got green to go still. Okay, so we still haven't grounded this, right, at all. They're still floating in the air, basically. This time, what do we have left? We've got our green, blue, green, black, right? Okay, do it again. We're going to do this with a blue, green, and a black. Oh, you know, you could do either one. This time I'm going to use a round in case someone doesn't want to, but go ahead and do the flat. Okay, so I don't like this big yellow on my side. So I'm gonna make sure and put my first tree this way, leaning in, because I want to frame it. And same over here, I've got a blue leading off, and that's kind of a no-no because that takes you off your canvas, okay? So I'm actually gonna make sure I do another green one coming in on that side as well. Now, if you feel like you're getting crowded, it's like you're losing something, almost all of the gray, black ones that you did initially, they almost get hidden in this painting. So don't be afraid if they get covered up. You know they're there, and it has given you some structure. Because as we go through, I don't know if you can see this. Here's what I'm talking about. My initial trees are right there. You can't even, hardly even see them. And as we keep going, we just keep adding. I thought my original one was a little too light. This one can almost, these ones can go down to the bottom, and that's fine. Your brown ones will actually be down at the bottom. Ooh, that is really intense. Black can be really deep, can't it? Okay. So look at your paper, make sure that you have an odd number at this point of your green. I don't, so I'm going to, there's my odd one. Okay. So again, you're gonna do branches off of this one. Whoop.
All the trees are in the foreground.
I'm sorry?
All the trees are in the foreground.
The brown ones will be. Is that what you mean?
Um,
These ones are, yes. So these brown ones are the foreground. These ones are back farther.
the ones you're drawing now are-
Right. So, right. So there's a little trick we're gonna do in between this and our brown ones to make it appear that they are it is just a tangle of limbs and trunks. And you will not be able to find the little black ones that we did originally. They're going to be gray and so far in the background. Again, do a few of those little, what do you call it? Suckers. Okay. While you're waiting for everybody, let's mix up a little bit of sponging green. So what we want to do, actually, maybe we could just sponge in here because we can mix it all up. You're going to have to promise me that you're going to clean out the wells after we're done at the end of class though, okay? Because we're going to do a little bit of mixing right in the little bucket wells, okay? You guys have a sponge, right? Everybody have access to a sponge? Are you sharing a sponge? I think you might be sharing sponges. Let me see. Debbie, there's a sponge right by you. Who else needs it? Yeah. Oh, you can check it. Okay. The thing about a natural sea sponge is that it gives you a nice variegated edge. It doesn't give you a hard lined edge like a sponge they use for your sink, you know. We use that. We use those actually to make bricks and rocks and things, but your natural sponge, you want to be always rotating it every single time, okay? You don't want to go dot, 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 or else it's gonna look like you did dot, 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 right? You're gonna want to vary it up, okay? What I'm gonna do is, this is green, and then I have a dark green sponge, and I'm gonna go over it maybe with a little bit of yellow ochre, and maybe, or brown. If you don't have yellow ochre, brown's fine. So just go ahead and dip your sponge in the water and wring it out. And then I'm just going to, not a really good green. Okay, I'm just gonna go in the light green because we have that. And we just wanna kind of go all along the foreground, okay? So that's a little too light. So you're gonna go ahead and pick up some black with that. Maybe some yellow ochre, like I said. We're kind of just mixing it on the fly. Now we're gonna have red shrubs, green shrubs. If you have in your lid a dark green, which I do, I don't know if any of you have this, but this green you could use. That's probably sap green. But then I'm gonna go over and dull it down with the yellow. Turn your sponge. Everybody got a piece of sponge to work with? Yeah, okay. We can even go in the brown a little bit. You're gonna go all the way across the foreground. Remember to keep turning it. Dip it in your brown. You're more than welcome to do like a red shrub. Like what do they have on the East Coast? The dogwood or burning bush? You guys know burning bush? Anybody from the East Coast or West, Northwest? Or?
The one that when the wind blows, it's that red, yellow, and brown.
It's bright red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like it's on fire.
Yes. Go ahead and add some red along the bottom too. We're going to take this green and brown and stuff, and we're going to go over the whole thing. You're going to go up into the trees and everything, because that's going to be foliage, and you're going to leave some sky in between. So you're going to just keep dabbing all the way around. Okay. And if you want the darker green, you can put some of that. So up in the trees, we want more green because that's going to look like the trees are still green. They're going to be losing their leaves shortly. Don't knock out all your blue and yellow that we initially let it peek through in places. Does that make sense? Yeah. Do you forget to turn your brush or your sponge? Make sure you turn your sponge. Okay. That's all I'm going to add right now. I'm going to just let this dry a little bit. We're going to be working on our brown trunks now. And that's going to be all the way, they're going to be our big ones that we even worry about what the bark looks like, that kind of thing. So in this picture, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. Okay. This is our final layer of trees. So you want it to start off of here and go all the way to the top. It's also going to be your widest trees, right? Because they're the closest to you. So if all you have is this and you want to work with that, that'll be great. This will work really well. I'm just going to try it again with a wide one and see. This is our puddle, and it's really kind of an olivey green. I might have to add some brown once it's down, but you can. Once it's wet, then you can start adding colors in the trunk, okay? So again, we're gonna do 5 of these. We want an odd number. My first one is just going straight up. Huh? It's a brown green, kind of olive green, with a black and brown. And I am gonna bring in some more brown with it. Over here, we have a really big tree, just right in the middle. Okay. And then, of course, we've got a smaller tree. And I'm already out of my puddles, so I'm gonna have to mix some more, or rob from Peter to pay Paul. One of the colors that we can add right to that is the burgundy, the burnt sienna. And even if you guys think of like how the color is coming through, the sun is coming through from one direction, say here on the left, I would want maybe the left of this tree to be a little bit lighter. So I could run a lighter green on this edge. Or brown, I should say. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then one fine. Okay. While it's still wet, feel free to put more brown on it. Go ahead and put some red burnt sienna in there. If you do vertical up and down little striations, it'll look like bark, like different sides of bark. Okay. Then remember to turn it around and make some more branches. You know what? I want something in front. No. Okay. I could have made all 6 of mine of the same width. So don't do as the teacher does. Make them different. Make them different diameters. Ah, I only see it when I start looking at it. Ah, oh well. Okay. This came, I have this black in here and it's really dark. I think I messed up. Okay, these limbs are going to be a little bit wider. They're coming off of a tree that's much bigger. So you might have to go over your stippler, or actually, you guys have a round brush. That might even work the best to do the branches off of it. It's going to be a little bit thicker. Any questions? right in front, I'm gonna go over my bushes again. Some of these are gonna be in front of the brown and they're just a little bit too light. The tree trunks are showing through too much. And so I need to kind of make it more opaque, if that makes sense. I'm using the leftover brown, the brown green, and that is darkening it up a little. I want to do it in a few places, not every place. I think mostly to make it look like it's dense and dark at the front. The other thing you're going to do is you're going to take your little stippling brush and you're going to put a few little grasses in at the very bottom. And this can be this green, maybe with some black in it. So let's do this. Oh, we have lots of time. We're good. We're doing great. I'm making grass color. So I'm using yellow green. And I'm going to add some, I think what I'm going to try to do is add some burnt sienna. If you don't have burnt sienna at home, just some red and black. So I'm using, oh, you guys can't see my palette. Sorry. I'm using this rust color with the light green. I'm going to be making some grass color. Okay, so it goes down at the bottom. That's not the right color. Let's see. I think we need darker green. So we need a little bit of black to cut that. It's kind of close to what our tree is. Okay, let's see if this works better. Okay, I'm just flicking. I'm down here at the bottom and I'm just flicking. So I can zoom in, can't I? This is the one that's zooming. Oh, it must be up. Okay. So we're just going to do some grasses, and you just flick it like that. Again, I'm using a kind of an olivey green. And you don't want your grasses to look like they're marching, right? So you want them every which way. Crisscross, crossing over, not equally spaced, maybe in clumps, maybe skip a space. Okay, so how we're gonna decorate this, we're gonna use our gouache. And we're going to add different little leaves all the way around. Now, some of these leaves will be in bushes down here in the foreground. And we're going to add stems to those bushes, but they get laid on top. We'll come back and do the stems, so don't worry about the stems. We are going to just lay down leaves, all different colors. So if you don't have one branch coming across the middle, this is kind of what brings us into focus. We have one branch that comes across and we've got some leaves, colored leaves that way. But this one little branch, if you don't have something in the middle right now, just make something off of this brown thing that goes kind of in the center. And what that does is it brings your eye to the middle of the painting. And you can come full circle with that. So I think I'm going to be using it actually on this brown branch, but it'll be right here. And you guys online, can you give me a thumbs up if you're ready to move on? We've got 1, 2, okay, 3, okay, good, that's almost everybody. Beth, you're just gonna hang in there. Okay, keep going, Beth. And everybody here, how you doing? You ready? Okay, so again, I'm gonna use my small brush. And we can start with any color you want. So I'm gonna do green in here. So I'm not gonna do that yet. So you just take your gouache. It probably has a little film on it. That's okay. Now, let me just show you on this cardboard. We don't want to do a circle, okay? We're trying to make kind of a leaf shape. So what we want it to do is look irregular, okay? We don't want a circle, okay? So it can be a sideways angled thing, and I'm just going to start in on the bottom because I want to make these shrubs. Okay, so let me explain also. You want to leave room in between, give it some air, like maybe clumps of leaves together, and then leave some spaces so that you can see some branches. If I did polka dot, which my sample is really a lot of polka dot, but we learn from doing it over and over again, we want to space it out so it looks more natural, like half the leaves have fallen off already, you've got yellow. So I'm just going to go like this and do some clumps of yellow. And just start going around. You're going to go over the whole thing except for the middle. You're not going to go in the middle. You're going to go around. You're going to go around the whole picture with your yellow. But you're going to concentrate on down here too, on both sides. That makes sense? There's more paint.
On top of the brown. Okay.
Everywhere. So this is really what's in front of the trees. Yes. 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 Because it's got a skin on it already. And you'll notice that gouache is really thick compared to your watercolor, and it won't dissolve like that. So I don't know what color. Birch has yellow leaves. Ginkgo. Does ginkgo have red or yellow? Ginkgo leaves I think are yellow. But I would suggest less is more. You can always go back and add more, but you can't take away. Also vary the size. I don't know if you can see that. I have some that are just dots and others that are bigger. I kind of like that trunk there. I don't want to cover that trunk. So places that you see that you love and Now this one's floating in the air, so I know I have to cover this area up with leaves because I've got a trunk that's actually floating. This is a number 4, but any small brush would be fine, small round. And if you don't have a round, a small flat, a really tiny flat would work. You would just use the side angle of it. Remember, we've got 3 colors to add to here. So don't feel like you have to fill it all in with the yellow because you're going to be adding a lot of other colors. Actually 4, because we're going to go back and do some green leaves too. Most of it in. See, you can see I'm going just around. And again, your leaves are every direction, so make sure you don't hold your brush at the same place all the time. I have one limb over here that I'm going to make my red, the one that comes across. I should have put white out. Do you know that yellow has a really hard time becoming opaque? But if you add just a touch of white to it, it's true in acrylics too. If you add just a bit of white to it, it sticks better, it shines better. Okay, so here's one of my shrubs. Okay. And after you've done with the yellow, go ahead and start with the orange. You can actually attach paint right on your branches if you follow them along. This is going to be pretty. Make sure you do some on the brown trunks, because of course they're not, there's going to be branches in front of them or on them. You guys ever been to Woodstock, Vermont? Oh, it's got the, there's a picture. It's got one of those little barn structures, a covered bridge, you know, that has, and then it's got all the fall leaves. It's absolutely gorgeous. There's a Instagram guy who owns a store, I think it's in Maine or maybe it's in Boston. And he goes around and just shoots his clothing line in these scene, like his flannels that he's trying to sell and all his winter socks and sweaters and stuff in these areas where it's just gorgeous fall. And I just, it's eye candy. It really is. It's just beautiful. I think he goes by KJP on Instagram. So everywhere you want, you just add red. And if this red's a little too vibrant for you, you can add a little watercolor to it to tone it down. Did you know that? You can kind of mix gouache and watercolor together. Wow, when you add the red, it just makes it pop, doesn't it? The thing we're missing though is green, because you know, a whole tree is just one color, they still usually have green leaves on them in places.
Are we adding that to it?
Uh-huh. Yeah, so if you're done with your red, move on to green. So the little branch in the middle here is just going to be green leaves, just a few little green leaves like here, like this little branch is hanging on, it hasn't turned colors yet. And that's just going to be watercolor. So let me, I'm sorry, yeah, that's just watercolor. Let me mix them. You're going to want a fairly dark consistency. See how I'm just barely tapping that, just leaving some to come. I just want it to look like, I mean, you could even have one falling, a couple leaves falling down. Okay, so if you have not done your lines for your little shrubs, those leaves are still floating in the air. So you need to kind of make shrub lines like branches, and that's really too dark. You just want to use a brown with a touch of black. And then sometimes when you've painted the branches and you realize, oh, I should have, I need to add more leaves. And the very last thing is the green leaves, if you haven't done some green leaves. That would be, I have up here in my lid a sap green that would work. If you don't have that, then use this light green plus a little bit of purple, and that would give you the kind of, I'll mix it for you and show you. So if I were to do that right here. Just stir in your paint a little bit longer. But once you've painted this, you certainly can do it again. You know, I think it'd be really pretty to use some purples, you know, just start all over and go purple scheme a little bit, you know. But maybe that would clash with it. I don't know. Thanks for coming, everybody.